What's going on, everybody? Jesse Montano out here in Dallas, in my hotel room in Dallas. We're heading over to the arena, really once we're done here with the live. Brought to you guys by our great friends over at Landmark Lincoln, the corner of Broadway and Bellevue in Inglewood. More on them later. But like I said, here in Dallas, round 2, game 1, Avs Stars. At morning skate, national media, Dallas, Dallas media folks, just people around. The general consensus on this series is, I don't know. Like these are, I've thought all season long, the two best teams in the Western Conference, the two true best teams in the Western Conference. I know the Vancouver Canucks had a good season, finished with a ton of points. Edmonton Oilers, great kind of back half push. I've thought these have been the two most kind of consistent top teams. You can just see the elite habits. These are legit Stanley Cup contenders. I think this is going to be a really fun series. I think it should be a really fun series. Similar to round 1, Avs Jets, just two teams that do a lot of things well that disrupt what the other group does. And this is going to be a true chess match. I talked to Devon Taves this morning after morning skate, and he even said, the team that wins this series is going to be the team, and he kind of went like this, and he was that gets to their game fastest and can stay there. And I think just so true. Like I was talking to, I was on Altitude Radio yesterday, and I told him, I said, like, this series has a range for me because of what Devon was saying there. Like you could tell me that either team won this series in 5, or it goes 7 games with 4 overtimes, and it's just like a drag out, like knockdown fight the whole way. I totally see a scenario where you have 5 really close games, but one of the two teams is just able to get that edge, just able to get one more to go than the other team. And like I said, it could be done in 5. I think these two teams have that kind of firepower, structure, commitment to their details, all that good stuff. I think this is going to be a really fun series. What's reported for tonight for the Dallas Stars are going with Jason Robertson, Rupe Hintz, Logan Stankoven, who was elevated to that top line in place of Joe Pavelski, noted Avalanche killer. Stankoven, I believe just 19 or 20 years old, young kid, has been a big revelation for this Dallas Stars team. I talked about it on our show yesterday. The Dallas Stars, Jason Robertson, Logan Stankoven, Wyatt Johnston have been 3 players that came into their organization organically. They've developed, and they have brought new team that, like, I used to make the joke a couple summers ago, that the Dallas Stars were the NHL's best over 35 team. Like, they just went on this run of signing good players, bringing in good players, but that were just in the end of their career, looking for one last kick at the can, et cetera, et cetera. Jamie Benn isn't the same player he used to be. Tyler Seguin has dealt with injuries on and off his entire career. But those 3 players, Logan Stankoven, Wyatt Johnston, Jason Robertson, have just really given this team a resurgence. And it's so funny when you look down their lineup. I stopped at just one line. Then on what they're running behind that, Jamie Benn, Wyatt Johnston, Joe Pavelski, Evgeny Dadonov, Matt Duchene, Tyler Seguin. Like, it's just funny. Like Tyler Seguin, Matt Duchene, Jamie Benn, like, naturally just working their way down the depth chart. It's not necessarily like an indictment on their play, but those are just the players that they are now. And the new wave of youth is what has brought this Dallas Stars team to what they are. And what makes them so dangerous is, I mean, like, that top 9 that I just read off there, that's a unique blend of veteran leadership and quality players mixed with young, exciting, like I said, the next wave of fast electric players. It's a now, again, we had an interesting conversation on the show yesterday about the star power of the Stars. I always hate when I do that. The star power of the Stars, and just where their top players, kind of stack up against the Nathan McKinnons and Mikko Rantanens, and by the way, a guy, Val Nichushkin, who's having a pretty good start to the playoffs. Arturi Lehkonen, I mean, a big start for him. And we're starting to see this is going to be another big test for Casey Middlestat. Every round here that we go is a big test for Casey Middlestat because it's the first time we're seeing him do it. I think you just at baseline, you feel more comfortable saying, yeah, guys like Jamie Benn, Joe Pavelski are going to be more kind of those consistent playoff performers as you start to work down your depth beyond the top line. But like, it's just interesting because Arturi Lehkonen, like he had a good regular season. The Avs stressed how important he is to their lineup regularly, but he just turns into a different player in the playoffs. I mean, like just the way that he plays. Nathan McKinnon told me earlier, right when the postseason was getting going, he said just the way that Arturi Lehkonen plays is built for this style. Like he likes going to the front of the net. He's got that like weird JT Compher like screw loose in him where he likes going to the front of the net, getting beat up because he knows that that's where the pucks are and that's where the goals come from. And just I've talked to a lot of the guys in the last few days in the Avs locker room about, is this where all that experience comes in? Because it drives me nuts too sometimes that you hear so much across all different sports. Oh man, they need a guy with experience. Oh, they went and got that guy because he's been there before. He's a winner. And like, for a lot of that, it's like, what does that mean? Right? Like, what is that worth? If the player's not any good, they're not who they used to be. What good does it do, to be a winner? But like one of the common themes that guys have kind of pointed out, not just recently, I've been asking about it in the last few days, but over the course of the entire season is like, you're always drawing on what it took to get there. Once you understand, Jared Bednar has told us recently that he used to hate when people would say you have to lose before you can win. Because he would say, no, you can just go, you can win. That's what you got to do. But he even says, now that I've been through the full cycle of it, I get it. Like, every step of the way, each one of those heartbreaking losses, we took something with us that helped us, down the road. And now that we've put it all together, we understand, I asked him right before the team left for Dallas of how did you balance getting away and resetting and recovering with needing to keep that playoff intensity and keeping, kind of one hand on the playoff wheel. And that was one of the things he talked about was in 2022, they had multiple, they swept through multiple rounds several times where they had long layoffs and they had to learn how to make sure that they were prepared. He said what they've done for the last week was inspired a lot by what they did in 2022 in between series. So it's just, this is where you start to draw on, we've been there before. We know what to expect from an opponent that's going to come out the way that you're expecting Dallas to come out tonight, coming off an emotional series win, et cetera, et cetera. And again, where I'm going with this is a guy like Arturi Lehkonen who just elevates his game this time of year. Ross Colton, I thought was really good. He's been through it with Tampa. Valeri Nichushkin, like these are players that maybe aren't as set and forget, kind of classically consistent, like Jamie Benn and Joe Pavelski and Tyler Seguin, Matt Duchene. But these are guys that understand what this gauntlet is like and understand elevating their game. Not saying that players on the Dallas Stars side don't just because they haven't won a Stanley Cup. That's not at all what I'm saying. But again, like of all those names that I read off for the Dallas Stars that are really strong players up front, no rings combined, none. And so, like, this is just where can the Dallas Stars match the intensity? That was one of my biggest takeaways. If you watched much of our content coming out of the Avs Jets series and those Winnipeg Jets exit interviews that they did with the media, they were repeatedly commenting on the fact that they weren't expecting the intensity that the Avs brought, that the Avs took their game to a level that the Winnipeg Jets couldn't handle, that they weren't prepared for. And I thought that was just really interesting because it's like, it's the playoffs. How are you not expecting teams to ramp it up like that? Rick Bowness is behind the bench. He's been to the Stanley Cup Finals several times. And I was just so shocked by that. And it forced me to kind of ask the question of like, did the Avs take it to a level that not necessarily that the Jets weren't expecting, but that they didn't realize was like, that they didn't realize you could even ramp it up that far. And it's going to be interesting to see how the Dallas Stars handle that, because really a lot of what I made the comment off the top that a lot of people don't know how to feel about this series, and that's true. Again, my conversations have been consistent. It's been a lot of that look when I ask people like, so what do you think? What's your pulse for this? But the one thing that was a consistent theme, and I was just talking about this with DMAC over on his show, was that it was a lot of like, yeah, I'm not really sure. All I know for sure is the Avs aren't going to be able to do to the Stars what they did to the Jets. And again, I'm not necessarily saying that they will, but like, what are we basing that on? Like, why is it that we can assume, and I think this is a safe assumption, that Dallas is going to they're going to dictate the pace for stretches of this series where they're going to slow things down and not give the Avs a lot of room, sticks in lanes, blocking shots. That's going to happen. But I just found it so interesting that there wasn't at all the narrative of like, yeah, the Avs are going to get theirs. Like they're going to get Dallas to start running up and down every now and then. It was the given that Dallas would get the Avs to play that the Stars wanted to, but not the other way around. And that's one thing that I think has been a hallmark for this team. This Avalanche team in the Jared Bednar era is the ability to dictate the pace of play, the style, and drawing other teams. Again, that I talked about it on our show yesterday with JJ. I hate to keep referencing the 2022 team. It was 2 years ago. It's a completely different team. But again, the trademark of that team is we will play you any way you want, and we'll beat you at it. And I thought that was what the Avs did to the Jets in round one. You want to play heavy, you want to play hard, fine. We'll do that. Those games would stay close till about halfway through. Then the Avs would find a couple shifts where they could break it loose the way that they wanted to, and the Jets just couldn't handle it. And so, and obviously there were large stretches of that series where the Avs were dictating, pace of play, and the Jets were just barely hanging on. But to me, that was kind of the larger overall theme was the Jets had several opportunities to get to their game. The Avs kind of played into it and then took over. So, I think this is an interesting matchup for so many reasons, and I think it's going to be a really fun series that will probably go pretty deep. But here's a comment that just came in. We are built for this series with our third and fourth line. Val and Lecky will be huge. Mikko will be a lot better. This is something that I just don't think we've given enough oxygen to. The Avs saw what happened last year against Seattle. Like, I don't know how many, like, people are coming right out and saying it, but like the Avs, if you have Val Nichushkin back in that series, it maybe looks a little bit different, but like the Avs got out depthed by the Kraken last year. Like it felt like this huge upset because of where the seedings finished, and the Avs are defending Stanley Cup champions, all of that. But like anybody that watched that series saw that lines 3 and 4 were better for Seattle. Like those were just better lines. Not they outplayed the Avs. Like they just had better players. There was more depth. And the Avs took that to heart. They understood what they built 2 years ago that took them all the way to the top, and just how important every single line was. Right down to the fourth line, Darren Helm, Andrew Cogliano, and there's a couple of rotating guys there, Nico Sturm, Logan O'Connor, but like that line scored big goals. That line played an important role. They realized not like this is but what they found out was we can't get away with our top guys carrying us if we aren't really sure on the depth. That's what the Toronto Maple Leafs have learned. That's what the Edmonton Oilers are still trying to, that's a lesson that they are trying to learn. We'll see what they can do this year. But like it's great to have elite players. I mentioned it earlier. When it comes right down to it, if you're going through the Avs and Stars roster and you're crossing out like, oh, well, this cancels out this. Well, the Stars are good at this. The Avs are good at this. When you have game breakers like the Avs do, like that's the tiebreaker. What the Avs discovered last year is you can't let the tiebreaker be the whole thing. You can't just say, well, our top guys are going to be the ones that carry us because they're just that good. They can only carry you so far. And so they went out. They tried to address it. When they realized that the moves that they made in the summer didn't work, they continue. Again, I don't know if Chris McFarland has got enough credit for how aggressive he was this year. I've been watching this Avalanche team for a long time, and I've been covering them for several years now up close. I've spent a lot of my time talking about the Avs on shows like this. I've always felt like the front office, I don't want to say lacked aggression, but for years, like the sarcastic rallying cry of Avs fans and Avs media was, "We like our team." Yep, we like our team, because that was the response that management gave every year coming out of draft weekend, free agency, trade deadline. It was always minor tweaks, but it was, "Hey, we like our team. We like our team. We like our team." And obviously over the years, as the regimes changed and Joe Sakic comes in, they were making great, savvy moves, and the Devon Taves thing, Arturi Lehkonen thing. I've said it before. Everything Joe Sakic as a GM touched turned to gold. But like, this was a year where they looked at their roster and for all the years that you've heard people say, "Oh, you're wasting McKinnon's prime. You're wasting this player's prime, whatever." The Avs went out and said, "We think we have the basis for a Stanley Cup contender, and we are going to aggressively put them in a situation to be able to contend for that." And like I said, it's crazy to me to look back on it. Tomas Tatar, Ryan Johansson, those didn't work, and the Avs made the switch quickly. Before news was public on Logan O'Connor being done for the season, they went out and got his replacement in Yakov Trenin. Like, it's funny to step back and look at the larger scope of work. This was an irregularly aggressive season from the Avs front office versus, this was on the level of like the early 2000s, late 90s Pierre Lacroix years, where like, we have flaws, we're going to go address them, we're going to build a team that's made for this. And this whole kind of side quest of a conversation here comes back to the fact of what that comment said. I think the Avs are built for a series like this in a way that, in more than a way than maybe they're getting credit for. I've heard a lot of talk about how good the depth is on the Dallas Stars side, and it is. That is as deep of a four-line forward core as you're going to see. Radek Faksa, Sam Steele, Craig Smith rounding out. I think Miro Heiskanen, I just said over on DMAX podcast, I think he's the closest thing in the NHL to Cale Makar, truly. Chris Tanev, Issa Lindell, that's a great shutdown pair. You got Ryan Suter on your third pair, where he's at in his career. That's a fantastic spot to have a player like Ryan Suter. And I really like Thomas Harley there on the top line. I haven't even mentioned Jake Ottinger's name, who's had an up and down first couple of seasons. But like, point being, that's a very good team on Dallas' side, and people should be talking about the depth and how good that roster is, 1-23. No doubt about it. And yes, the Avs are missing Jonathan Drouin tonight. That you'd like to have him back. That bolsters your depth just that much more. And you'd also love to have Gabe Landeskog, who, by the way, continues to push and get a little bit better and move a little bit more aggressively every single day that we see him on the ice. So sure, those things help. But again, like, I run down what the Avs are working with here from that top line that everyone knows. Lehkonen and Middlestat there on that second line with Zach Parise, who was fantastic for the Avs in the first round. Kind of maybe they're hoping can match the Joe Pavelski production, that even though for the first time in his career, Pavelski looked maybe his age in that first round, he's going to cash in against the Avs. Again, Ross Colton, Stanley Cup champion on the third line with Miles Wood, who is another player just built for playoff hockey. Yakov Trenin, who, there was a comment that just came through a minute ago. He's kind of like a Nichushkin light. And then Andrew Cogliano and Brandon Duhaime also. But Andrew Cogliano, someone asked Jared Bednar about Cogliano yesterday, and like, you should have just heard the way he went on about him, saying like, there's no way for me to accurately describe you guys what he means to this team, not only off the ice in the locker room with the leadership stuff, but he had 3 assists in that first round. Like, he was a contributor, he was a difference maker. And then I still believe that the Avs have the best D-core in the NHL with Devon Taves, Cale Makar. That's the best pairing in the league. That would be Team Canada's top pairing right now if there was a best on best tournament. Sam Girard, who has had an unbelievable bounce back since coming out of the player assistance program, next to Josh Manson, who, when Josh Manson's on, everyone is aware of exactly how good and mean Josh Manson can be when you're not dealing with some of the mistakes, right? And then Jack Johnson, who again kind of playing that Ryan Suter role, and then Sean Walker, who just fits perfectly into what the Avs do. Like, I'm sorry, just when I run through those two rosters, I can't say that the Dallas Stars are clearly a team that's deeper and built better for this time of year. Like, the Avs went out and specifically addressed the depth issues to make sure that they could compete this time of year with a team like the Dallas Stars. Jared Bednar said it this morning. They know the Dallas Stars very well. They're very familiar with that team, and they know. One of the first things he said, we're in the Central Division. We know if we want to do anything, we got to play Dallas in the first or second round. When the Avs are making decisions, they're looking at other teams around them and saying, how do we line up against these guys? I think the Avs, again, it sucks that you lose Jonathan Drouin, because I do think having that one piece does kind of bump one extra guy down or whatever, and it does make a little bit of a difference. But like, the Avs came out of the deadline saying, this is a roster with the depth that we believe can go toe-to-toe with the Vegas Golden Knights, with the Dallas Stars, with the Edmonton Oilers. They built for this exact moment right here. And I just don't think that's been given enough credit to what the Avs have built this season aggressively. The whole point of this kind of side tangent is to point out that for the first time in like I said, the Pierre Lacroix days, this was an aggressive year exactly to prepare the Avs for this type of series, this type of moment. A couple comments here. Get your comments in, guys. We're going to go for probably about 10 more minutes. Mark and I are going to get heading over to the rink here pretty soon. Comments, questions, any of that stuff, get them in before we head on over to game one. What if we came out heavy and put the physical play on them and set the tone? That would be a plot twist with the upside. The Avs are not afraid to play physically. That was something that they kind of wore with pride a couple of seasons ago in the 2022 year. I remember going in to round 2 against St. Louis. Someone asked Jared Bednar about like, well, hey, they're gonna try to run you out of the building here, and he said, yeah, that was Nashville's plan too. Like, and again, he echoed some of those same comments this morning. Like, Dallas isn't going to do anything that's groundbreaking relative to what other teams try to do when they're playing against the Avs. They know they're going to try to play physical. I don't think the Avs are going to shy away from that at all. In fact, I think you are going to see Yakov Trenin, Miles Wood, Ross Colton, Brandon Duhaime. Like, I think you're going to see them going right at the Dallas Stars. And I don't doubt that at all. I think the Avs are going to take the play to them. The other thing that I talked about a little bit with DMAC over on his show right before this was the fact that this game, game 1, round 2 here in Dallas, this is a house money game for the Avs. There is no pressure on you to win this game. You want to take 1 out of Dallas going home. If you can get 2, that's always great. Your goal when you start on the road is to take 1 out of Dallas. They played 2 nights ago. You don't really know, are you going to get a team that's worn out, that's having a hard time turning the page, or are you going to get a team that's still buzzing from a Game 7 win 2 nights ago when you've been sitting at home? This is a game that the Avs can come out, play fast, play loose, play kind of free hockey, because if you lose, you can come out and get game 2. But if you win, suddenly you are in a driver's seat that now you've got them back on their heels. Now they have to win a game at home before going into a building where the Avs have been among the best teams in the league for the last number of seasons at home. This is an interesting game for the Avs. I think there's a lot of pressure on the Dallas Stars to come out and get this game and set a tone that says, hey, we can contain them. We can suppress what they're doing and we can turn the page that quickly. We're ready for this drive. And we're going to learn in the same way in that first round that I talked about with Kyle Frederickson of the Denver Gazette, talked about the fact that we were going to learn a lot about the Avs in that first round and what this group was really made of. I think it's the same thing for the Dallas Stars tonight. This tonight is going to tell everyone just how much, are the Dallas Stars those true contenders? They are. But are they going to be able to turn that page, get emotionally focused? And I think this is an important game for the Dallas Stars to win. Can they get focused and overcome a rested Avs team that's going to have a lot of jump, that's going to want to get off to a good start? And again, like I said, is going to be playing free, loose hockey. If the Dallas Stars can do that and they can really put the clamps on the Avs in a game like tonight, I think that's going to be a message that, hey, you're going to have to find a different way to create offense than what you were able than what you did in the first round, off the transition with speed. What I think the Avs are going to try to carry over into tonight, and where they're going to try to make Dallas's life hard, knowing that Dallas is more tired than they are, is the simple nature of what the Avs did in that first round. Getting to the front of the net, winning net front battles, digging pucks out, and being just tenacious on the forecheck. The forecheck was the part that a lot of Winnipeg Jets players talked about struggling with, that the Avs wingers were just right on top of you. You didn't have a second to make a decision. That's where teams that want to slow it down and things like that, that's how the Avs can force those teams to play with speed. You have to transition the puck up quickly because we're right on top of you. I think that's the game that the Avs are going to try to get to right off the bat tonight, get Dallas skating, and see if they can open this game up a bit to a style of game that Dallas isn't going to want to play. Last thing we're going to mention here, of course, we had to get to the goaltending. Jake Ottinger, what an interesting start to his career. You've heard me probably talk about it on a couple different shows recently. Go back 2 seasons. He was outstanding. He was the playoff MVP for the Dallas Stars. Go back to last season. He was the reason that they went home early. He's had an up and down year. He's been good. He's been below average. He was good in round 1 for the whole back half. I thought he was stellar in game 6 and game 7. The Avs are going to have to get in front of him. They're going to have to do the same thing that they did to Connor Hellebuck, take away his eyes. If you can't see it, you're going to give yourself a much better chance. Alexander Georgiev, he's got to continue to build on what he did in round 1. It was an unbelievable bounce back, and I thought what Jared Bednar said was so important. I heard Elliot Friedman talk about this on our plane ride yesterday on 32 Thoughts Pod, of what Georgiev showed in that round 1 is he's capable of bouncing back. Now, he needs to limit the amount of things that he's needing to bounce back from, but he showed that he's able to bounce back. Now, if you're the Avs, what you need to see from Georgiev is him starting to build on those performances and just start keeping games close, keep the scoring low. Again, it doesn't have to be every night. He's going to have another stinker. He is. That's fine. So is Jake Ottinger at some point, through these playoffs. Connor Hellebuck, we just saw, played really well, gave up 5 a night. It's going to happen. So can he limit those, and can he bounce back after bad performances? I think there's a strange importance on this game from the Dallas Stars side. They really need it. I think the Avs can come out and play fast and loose, and they're going to need Alexander Georgiev to give them a couple big saves, because it's going to be a hard push from Dallas to get off on the right foot in this series. They went down 0-2 last round against Vegas. They know that it's going to be harder to play catch up against a team that you're literally having to chase around the ice. So you want to see a strong start from Georgiev and kind of wash that bad taste out of your mouth of he got off to a bad start. That was the bad part about that game, was it was just the timing of all of it. If the Avs can get off to a good start here tonight, they're in the driver's seat, and I think that it changes the dynamic of the series. If the Stars win tonight, if you're the Avs, I'm not saying fans, I'm not saying this is how players are going to feel, but if you're the Avs, you can easily turn that page like, all right, we're in the series now. It's going. We're down 1-0. Let's get this series split and go back home. But I'm really excited for this one tonight. We've been sitting at home for a week waiting to get back into a playoff game. We've been having to watch everyone else on TV have all the fun. So I'm anxious to get into the building, and we're going to do that. There's this game tonight. There's a concert at American Airlines Center tomorrow. Then there's another Avs game, Avs Stars game on Thursday. Then the Dallas Mavericks are back here for the weekend. It's crazy. So the hotel situation in Dallas was tough. So we're not our normal walking distance from the arena like we usually are in some of these cities. So we're going to get heading over there quick, or here pretty soon right after this. 8:52 puck drop here locally. So on ESPN game tonight. So it's going to be a late one, But we will have a live right after the game from the arena. We'll go into the locker room and then into Jared Bednar and hear from him. And then we will head out to do a live stream from the arena. I'm going to try to get a couple, maybe a guest or two to jump on. But then, yeah, guys, like I said, we'll be having or I guess I didn't say it on this show. I said it on DMAC's show. We'll have another live show this weekend with Evan Rawle from Colorado Hockey Now, with Megan Angley from DNVR. We'll have some content with Kyle Fredrickson from the arena tomorrow. So if you guys are watching on the YouTube channel, make sure you guys are subscribing, getting over there. We have a ton of content coming to you guys this weekend. That's the second time I've said that. This week from Dallas. It's the week. It's a weekday. I only know game days and non-game days, but it is Tuesday. We have a lot of fun content this week. There's a question that asked if we got any barbecue. We didn't, but we're actually going to go do a little bit of a food tour of Dallas here over the next couple of days. And I think we're going to take the camera along with us to show you guys what we're eating here in Dallas because it's a great food city. Looking forward to some barbecue. But yeah, guys, it's going to be a fun one. Like I said, make sure you are tuned into Guerilla Sports so you can catch all the post-game content, locker room stuff, plus live from the arena. We'll break it all down. Thank you guys so much for watching. Jesse Montano for Mark behind the board. We'll talk to you guys after the game. See ya.